last best of 3 today. It's a PvP. We haven't actually seen many of these, and before any of you get too upset, Drogo is a real up-and-comer on the rise, and Harstem's got some badass PvP. So I didn't mind picking this one because I thought it would be pretty good. But someone's asking what happens if we don't meet that goal today because we're only at 690 out of 2,000. That's perfectly fine. We will just keep running those numbers until we meet the required amount to get Zombie Grub and myself to home strike up if at all possible. This is money we could raise for our own Kickstarter, but if we're going to be completely honest, guys, we've already knocked it out of the park with our Kickstarter, and we get some really cool stuff coming for it, so I'm not too worried about that. I'd much rather go to Germany and possibly home strike up. So that being said, we kick off game number 1. Top left corner of the map for the IEM Shenzhen European qualifiers. We have Invasions, Red Protoss, Harstem.
In the bottom right is the blue Protoss. It's PtitDrogo.
Alright, so Harstem, I don't know, he's fully capable of cheese. He's really good at his macro. And it's funny because I still feel like all Protoss players, while not confused and befuddled, that no one's really totally loving the fact that Tempests have basically been removed from the matchup. And there's nothing to really take its place.
Yeah. We don't really see those games that often, but now that you can't go to Tempest, it's like the ones that you do see really stick out in your mind. No, they're just, Tempests aren't very good at all anymore. I don't really mind they're not that good. I think they were just a poor replacement of what the carrier should have been. Like, if you're going to make a unit a response to Broodlord, it should have been the capital ship you already had, but...
So, what would you do? The Interceptor's like bonus versus massive?
You could just literally give him the Tempest attack and say a carrier's got like a new attack, but it's still the carrier. So like people would like moan and groan, but at least it would still be the carrier.
I see what you mean. Yeah, it's funny because you know, Nate brought up the whole hullabaloo, right? Reddit and this, that, and the other, and I didn't really. I think I always knew, but I never really thought about the fact that everything they've done really have been little band-aid fixes here and there, and no big overhaul changes. And that's a pretty good example of like the Tempest gets introduced and it really had one role: counter the Broodlord. StarCraft 2 even, just like Wings of Liberty, the Immortal gets introduced to counter siege tanks. I mean, everything's been like these little things
I try to
here
bring
and
this
there.
up. I try to bring this up every single time that like there's band-aid fixes on a lot of things in StarCraft, and one of the that was a really common one is basically making units that specifically counter something that's a meta that might not even necessarily be the meta in the new game. And then also like speed buffs to like make artificial excitement, you know, like oh, War Prisms aren't being used, like speed buff, like, you know, don't try and do anything else with them. Like it's a lot of problems, and I think Protoss just has a little bit of the more wobbly design. I always think of Protoss as like a Jenga tower. So like technically like they're balanced, right? Like balance is a really good point right now, but like it's so hard, like one little misstep and suddenly they're underpowered severely or severely overpowered. And that's why we've seen these coming and goings of Protoss power over the last 5 years. But PvP is now fully underway with the Dark Shrine all year.
Yeah, mentioned Harstem's definitely capable of pulling off some cheese. What I like is he pairs it up with the Robo too. A, ensures that he won't get caught off guard by his own, like, counter DTs coming at him, but B, it'll give him the Warp Prism potential to shuttle those into the main. However, all these things aside, he is going to have to deal with a little bit of Oracle harass. Now, sometimes the Overcharge and a Stalker or two can get just enough damage to kill it on its first pass, but rarely is that the case unless they go so deep that they're going for drones. Or probes, pardon me.
Well... Oracle's gonna meet a bunch of stalkers, basically, and not gonna do too well. But it's gonna see the Dark Shrine, which I think is more important. Oh, you didn't see the Dark Shrine. Oh, are you kidding? And it dies?
And it died. That would have been detection as well if it had gone back home.
Oh,
this is actually... This is so bad. Oh, God. So, not only does he have no detection right now. Okay, he's got a new Oracle chronoing out. It might be okay.
Alright,
Did you see he saw the Nexus coming down to Harstem, so he knew this is the time he's not super weird. It's not like a big one base all in, but regardless, this Dark Templar is gonna get some kills.
Yeah, it's a good. I think people, like, pros players just know how to have a feeling about a DT expand. Because I've watched enough streams to know that they'll be like. I think it's a DT expand because you haven't seen anything else, and the expansion was like at X time, and then that's the safest bet too. Because if I don't have detection, it's game over. If I lose on economy, then at least it's still a game kind of deal. So I think it's what the case. So he was looking for the Dark Templar, and also most Protoss, they only open one Dark Templar nowadays. Like back in the day, if you went Dark Shrine, you went 3 Dark Templar every single time. Like it was super all in. Before, of course, Oracles were invented.
If that had been an all-in, I mean, Harstem would have just actually lost the game from that. So
yes,
it's very important, and that's one of the reasons why. Now, we do have Immortals starting to come out. He's got a couple of Stalkers on the ground, but even if he gets ahead for this mid-game fight... Ooh, another DT actually sneaks in. Starts killing some probes. Drogo down to 27, 28 so far. Oracle detection, by the way, again, just kind of stressing, there's some ways it's better and some ways it's worse in Heart of the Swarm than its Legacy of the Void counterpart. I particularly think a lot of Protoss players will miss this mode, where you can just like permanently detect while you move. Because that Revelation is just like the worst for clearing up new detection.
I think it's nice with Legacy of the Void, though, is that we still don't see as many, I think, abrupt endings to like invisible units. I mean, Cloak's Banshees get kind of BS towards the late game, but it's only after like a 20-minute game, right? So you got your fun share. But it is... I think... Because they nerfed the... Well, anyways, it's not Legacy of the Void. And, well, plenty of time to talk about Legacy of the Void, because we're casting tons of it lately. We'll save that for later.
Lotus Hype?
Yeah. This is the last couple of weeks of Lotus, too.
Yeah, it's getting down to the wire. Some players really got to get those matches done. I feel like we're going to have one of these days where we're going to be casting, like, just 7 games of the same player back-to-back, because, like, Huck's so far behind, he'll have to play, like, 5 matches at once or something like that.
He just plays him at an airport before, too. He's casting at Toronto, if you guys didn't know.
I hope Kane was tweeting about just trying to rummage up some money to go. I hope he's able to go. That'd be fun to see him, too.
Yeah, it must suck for pro gamers, because you can't just start planning. You think you might get your own ticket, right?
Well, that you can't.
Someone might pay for you.
I think pro gamers can't really. You'll never be the same sort of fan that a real fan, like, not to say real fan, that sounds stupid, but like a regular fan, I guess, would be. Like you're too ingrained in the scene. It's like you will never have that same hype that I feel versus someone else or whatever X versus Y. But Kane was. Oh. Sorry. I was just gonna finish my thought saying Kane was actually doing a great job of at least cheering in the audience and stuff. It was really cool when we saw him in IEM Toronto.
Yeah, he was one of us. One of us. One of us. That got weird.
That did. That got really weird.
I know, like, someone was complaining, I think he's like a troll account name, so I won't say it, but I think it's funny. But anyways, he was saying how like he feels outnumbered by subs, and of course you start chanting like, one of us, one of us.
Yes, an easy way to fix that, just sub to the channel.
That's what I was gonna tell him.
Well, Oracle's looking for a bit of damage. Sadly, there are Stalkers and an overcharge, so barely won't get the last hit here. The charge a little bit sooner for Drogo is cool, but unless he actually fights with the charge, it might not really matter. As Nexus is behind Harstems, but not by much.
Yeah, it went to a pretty long macro game. On one hand, cheese versus cheese, like PvP, I think can be the funnest matchup because cheese versus cheese gets like silly and cool and whatnot. But on the other, I'm sure everyone really appreciates that it's no longer like 4-gate versus 4-gate or Dark Shrine versus Twilight Opener instant GG type deal, like in Wings of Liberty. So, huh.
Those feedbacks were nice, but that 1 energy, 1 health, 2 little, I guess. The Oracles both live.
That was surprising. But yeah, that PvP is actually allowed to go into these later stages where, well, sure, it gets a little pew-pewy, you know, just like Colossus, but, you know, you start to see who's better at positioning and keeping control of their army, and oh, who will try to go towards Tempests? I don't even know if is it so worth it to try and go for Tempests?
The range benefit is nice, but I can't really see, outside of getting some free poke, any reason to go and invest into them.
I
I feel like
you
that
have to
money,
get up
that
to
gas, you can put it as storms, you can put this in archons, you can put it in so much better use.
You could chrono out 3 Tempests barely in time to deal with a Colossus attack, and then they would one shot, right? I'm not getting this.
Well, that's a 5 or 7 shot. That's the problem.
Yeah, now it's 5 or 7. Anyways, that's obviously like a lot more Tempest. Like they will kill you with a timing if they notice you're trying to go towards Tempest, and even if you do get Tempest and the game goes on for a long time, so does the fight, you know, and like. I think more Colossus would just out DPS you, and the Tempest would just still be alive, but kind of useless alive, you know?
Yeah. It's Harstem who's going to go for the push on this. He does have a pretty nice army supply lead. His upgrades are, for a small time, going to be better, but I don't think he'll be able to hit with them to sync up. 2 Robos also going to be giving Drogo a lot of Colossus production, but ultimately that might not matter if the Immortals can connect to them, because Immortals just tear down these bad boys. No problemo. Huge hits, big shots, on armor, no less.
Like, Harstem's not going to force the issue. If he really chrono boosted that +3, he would definitely have an upgrade lead, but he might just be, he might try to end the game here, or he might just be positioning, like posturing. He's got his own double robo now on the way. They're both up to, you know, the tech that they need. They're layering in here, and now we're going to see, yeah, of course, those drops. I feel like he drops units that he didn't want anymore.
Yeah, it's like a little bit of
like
everything.
Insubordinate or something. Okay.
Well, between the DT's damage and some zealots, taking out the cannons is a non-issue. As he continues to press potentially here in the front, I'd actually like to see the War Prison brought back. Some of the best moves are ones that are made on the battlefield directly on top of your opponent, but not going to happen here. Archons for both players. Immortals for one, not so much for the other. Zealots way more for Drogo. I don't know, this layer caking is going to be a little bit hard to judge. I really don't know how to tell which one's going to end up going better, but a couple Colossus on this ramp looking to flank him from the side. Harstem with some nice drags there, but is that enough to really finish us off? Awkward Colossus is awkward. That rally point, though. I don't know, though. It's just, it happens, right? We've seen it before. I'm a little worried there might be too many Colossus, actually. 7 might not seem excessive, but 7 also limits how many other units you can have on the field for Drogo.
I honestly, like, Wings of Liberty, you just did not have a lot of endgame PvP, and I think the goal was to get to Void Ray Colossus, if I remember correctly, and a Mothership, right, for Vortex. But that was so rare. To not have Tempest be the end game anymore, like, is your only option just to get as many freaking Colossus as possible?
I kind of like this one. This is cool, using the Oracles to deal with the Zealot attacks.
Yeah. Harstem is, I think he wants to take this fight. He doesn't have charge. I think that's a mistake.
He was trying really hard to feed back the Mothership core just now there. Lost like 3 Templar diving in for it.
I was gonna say, he has his entire upgrade lead. PtitDrogo really not going into it. He's entirely gas starves, but Harstem maybe not realizing he didn't have charge. I don't know if that's going to be really key here. Takes a fight. Okay, so far. Oh god, just Colossus shots everywhere.
Kind of wish the beams match the team colors, but both players dissipating on their their cannon fodder, so to speak. If DTs manage to sneak in the back, that'd be great, but unfortunately it's not going to stop the Observer. Now Harstem suddenly starting to snowball in a bad way. But he's rolling downhill. Yeah.
Well, Zealots came in through the back and got a lot of his reinforcements, as well as 1 or 2 Colossus, apparently. So that was a big deal. And that was all due to the Zealots having charge, by the way. Like, Harstem...
I
don't know if that really would have made the fight go his way. I think he got, like,
Well, he was more Archon heavy than he was Zealot heavy, but still, it's...
Yeah.
Charge would have helped for sure. Trying to cut what little he can back, the overcharge goes off. He's going to work with his own Zealots on top of this. Tries to stop the pylon a little bit late to the party. Walks up towards the main. These Colossus getting really low.
They have no buffer. Oh, the Mothership's going to execute 3 of them.
Harstem taps out. GG. Drogo is going to take game number 1.